Hey guys, how's it going? Uh, this is I guess the first video. If you don't count the little season promo that I made earlier on the channel. Um, the first video where I'm talking to you guys. So welcome to the channel. First of all, before I start, I just wanted to thank everyone for the love and support from the previous video, the little season montage that I made. Hopefully, I'll be able to bring you guys more content related to all things Geelong. Uh, it's probably a bit late to start one of these channels as we have, as of this recording, hit finals. But I'll try and do some off-season content and then try and make it more consistent and uh, more in depth with more stuff to cover as we head into our 2023 season. Hoping for the best, obviously, as many of you guys that are also potential Geelong supporters would be as well. So let's just get straight into the video. Today we're going to be talking about the big matchup that we have, which is Geelong versus Collingwood. I am recording this Friday night. Sydney did just beat Melbourne pretty comfortably in the end. So was a bit I wouldn't say it was a shock. Like there was a decent amount of people expecting Sydney to probably win. It was pretty 50-50 to be honest. Like it could have gone either way in terms of expert opinions and stuff like that. But for Melbourne to kind of falter the way they did was a bit disappointing for their football club. But, you know, just to quickly brush up on it, that's not what we're about here in this channel. We're about the Geelong Cats, and we're going to be talking about them right now. So, Geelong v Collingwood in a qualifying final, technically the first one. Yeah, it'll be a very tough game. Obviously, the Magpies have won, I believe it's like 11 of their last 12 or something like that, and Geelong, as of this recording, are on a 13-game winning streak. So both teams in pretty good form. Both are probably feeling very confident to get the job done. At the moment, Geelong are considered the favourites according to the bookies, but us Geelong fans, we know better than anyone else that we sometimes falter a bit when it comes to these finals. Um, Obviously, what happens in the past isn't kind of really that relevant. Like, you'll hear Chris Scott, the head coach of Geelong, bang about it quite a bit. The past is the past. Like, the Geelong team that we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago is very different to the Geelong team we are now. In fact, the Geelong team we were 6 months ago is not really the same team per se as the team we are now. As many of you would agree that we have improved since our 5-4 start to obviously go on to win the next 13 in a row. Things are starting to click. We look a lot better. We move quicker. We're much more dangerous in attack. It's really been very exciting to watch, honestly. So, yeah, it's definitely been one of our better years, that's for sure. I can't remember us playing this well in a season probably since 2011. And, well, we all know what happened that year. So, repeat success? Maybe. We'll find out. But, anyways, I wanted to get into some key things about how we are able to win this matchup against the Collingwood Magpies, who, like I've said, are also in some pretty good form. They've beaten some decent teams. They've also beaten some not so great teams in pretty close affairs. Um, but there's still a team that we have to respect and expect a tough game out of them if both teams show up. So, there are going to be some key points that I think will decide the outcome of this game. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing that I think needs to be discussed is the very obvious thing when it comes to finals is pressure application versus pressure absorption. Now, what do I mean by this? So, pressure application, obviously, how well can the team apply the pressure to their opponent? And then absorption, how well can the team receive that pressure and continue to play the game plan that they strive to play? So, Collingwood are a side that do play very scrappy football sometimes to win some of those games, especially those close ones. And there's no doubt that they're probably going to come out at us pretty hard. So we need to either be the pressure applier or the pressure absorber probably within the first like 5-10 minutes of the game. And whatever side we're on, we need to make sure that we're really onto that to kind of set the tone early. So I think if we are the ones that get applied pressure on, so we have to absorb the pressure, I think it's really going to come down to how well we can like break those lines, split the game open, go over the top, try to find the open space when we can, and just try and get Collingwood uh, tired out if they do come at us pretty hard with that pressure application. Um, and just, I guess, like try and make sure that they're the ones making mistakes, not us. So when it comes to like the later stages of the game, they'll be a bit more tired. They'll make more mistakes because they've been trying to run at us for, at that point, 60, 80 minutes um, going into the last quarter and just kind of hope that we can just get it done that way. If we're the team looking to apply the pressure, we need to really like get into their grill. We need to force them to make mistakes, and we need to use that to break with speed. Um, Obviously, we're not really that fast of a team. We've got like some speed players, obviously. Like, you've got your Stengel who's got a bit of pace. You've got Max Holmes who's got some decent pace. Uh, Brad Close is pretty quick. Tom Stewart can be pretty quick. Um, Myers can be pretty quick on his feet as well when he wants to be. But, like we're not like speed demons. Rowan obviously is the big obvious one. We picked him up mainly for his pace. But we're not like a speed demon type team. So if we're applying the pressure, we just need to really make sure that Collingwood are the one making the mistakes when we apply them the pressure. Really get in their face, really get in their grill, and kind of demand the football, and really make sure that when we go down in attack, it's with intention to score and score big. And I'll talk about scoring a bit later in the video, but for now, that's probably going to be the key things that'll win us that matchup. Whoever applies the pressure, we need to do the opposite well. So if Collingwood are applying the pressure to us, we need to absorb it and get them tired and force them to make the mistakes due to fatigue. And if we're applying the pressure ourselves, we need to make sure that we're forcing them to make mistakes early on and to try and take them out of the game early on. The next thing is going to be key matchups, winning those key matchups. So I've got some examples here for us to kind of look at. So we got Tui and Buse versus the Dacosses. Honestly, it's just the backline in general versus the Dacosses. We know how dangerous these two Dacosses can be, both Nick and Josh. But Tui and Buse will probably most likely line up on them and probably do some sort of tagging role at some point. Not really, but it's just something to kind of highlight there. We need to shut them out of the game. They are like X factors in the game, as well as someone like Ginnivan. We'll probably need to keep an eye on him as well to make sure we can shut him out. But if we could shut down one or both of the Dacosses, our backline might be in from a bit more of an easier night, because they're losing that kind of X factor flair with those two. Another big one as well will be the Hawkins and Moore matchup. Obviously, the full forward and the full back. Tom Hawkins, a top 3, top 5 full forward in the comp. Obviously, can tear it up, as we've seen many and many times again on any given night. And Darcy Moore has played on some pretty good full forwards, and he's had like some pretty good results on a lot of them. So he kind of really knows how to lock down a key forward. So we really need to make sure that Tom Hawkins can kind of break loose off him, just to maybe kind of force a bit more emphasis for their defense to kind of clog towards Hawkins. And if that ends up happening, well, we know what happens next. Jeremy Cameron becomes free. Brian Myers gets in the back. Brad Close comes in and gets the scraps. Rowan, we know, could just tear it up any night when he's really feeling it. So if Hawkins can get on, it means our whole forward line can all of a sudden turn on. So we really need to make sure that Hawkins can win that matchup and kind of make sure he kicks maybe a goal or two. Within the first quarter would be great, but if he can kick at least 2 before half time, it might mean that the way Collingwood set up the defense might change, and therefore certain players in our forward line become a bit more open. Stanley and Cox, so Mason Cox, obviously. Mason has been named as a ruckman, which is kind of interesting. But I think it'll be like a mix of like Mason and probably someone else. But I think in general, just Stanley as a whole needs to win whoever matchup he is on because really, like, to be honest, like our midfield is like pretty good, obviously, but I I do think Collingwood do have a slightly better midfield in terms of just that pure raw talent that they have. So if we can win the ruck contest and kind of make it easier for your Selwoods, your Dangerfields, uh, your Max Holmes, um, Guthrie's, and stuff like that to kind of come from the sides. Atkins as well to kind of run in, get the ball from the one tap and push it down forward in our forward line. If he can win the ruck battle, it'll go a long way in helping us win as well because there have been quite a few games where Stanley has played well, and to be honest, that has made like quite a difference. He may not have necessarily won like the hitouts, but all the hitouts he did win or does win have been very impactful to the point where it's resulted even in a goal or a scoring opportunity. So if we can get that kind of quality or even better from Stanley tomorrow night, then obviously we will be in a much better chance to win the game as well. So that'll be very key to win. And one here I've got kind of question marked was the Stewart and Elliott matchup. I don't really think they're going to go like head to head per se, but there might be at some stage in the game when the contest is tight, maybe late in the third or midway through the fourth. Elliott might be looming as the dangerous prospect for Collingwood to win the match. So Stewart might opt to kind of stick to him a little bit and probably try and shut him down. I think really it's going to really come down to how well Stewart or just our backline really in general can kind of lock down Elliott to make sure he doesn't become like a dangerous threat because we know what he's capable of. He's had a few clutch moments already in the home and away season. And in general, he is just a pretty elite level player. So we do need to make sure that he kind of gets contained a little bit and doesn't really just like run havoc in our backline. So I've kind of got it there, Stewart as Elliott, but really it's just any backman in general that has the job on him at the time. We really need to try and take him out of the game. And to be honest, like if we can win like most, if not all of these matchups, we could end up winning pretty comfortably. Uh, but we would need a lot to go our way, and we need to make sure that everyone on our team really switched on. But these key matchups specifically that I've highlighted go our way. So yeah, these are like some, if not most of the key matchups we need to win. But to be honest, we need the whole team obviously to show up. Like everyone needs to win their matchup. And, if everyone's winning their one-on-ones, there's certain matchups and generally speaking, like 99% of the time you're going to win the game. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've highlighted there. And then the last thing, this is kind of a big thing, like pretty important, I would actually say, to apply scoreboard pressure. So I think with the way we've been playing this year, and I think a lot of our scoring has been like heavily influenced by our last uh, last 3 or 4 games where we've kind of just rolled teams. But we haven't really been applying that much scoreboard pressure when you think about it. And really, we've been just kind of winning games late. Like even against the Bulldogs, we kind of just kicked away a little bit in the end when we kind of caught them making a few mistakes here and there. Um, Against Melbourne, we eventually kicked away in the end, but the game was still very tight either side. Like we weren't really applying as much scoreboard pressure as we probably could have when we were dominating that game. And there's been a few games here and there where we've been like in control and we've been attacking and stuff, but we haven't really converted on the scoreboard, and it's kind of kept some teams in it for a little bit. Um, which could be a bit concerning come finals time because especially against a team like Collingwood, if you let them have a sniff and you kind of keep them in it, they're probably going to overrun a team um, in that sense and kind of just come up with the goods in the end. So I've got like some statistics here just to kind of highlight. This is according to the AFL official website. So for the year, our average goals have been about 14 compared to Collingwood's 12. And our behinds has been on average for the year 13. This is like per game. It's assumed 13 behinds on average compared to the Pies 10 to 11. And we're actually the number one team for average behinds in the 2022 season, which isn't really a good thing because it means that we're getting a lot of chances, but we're kind of missing them, which is a bit concerning because if we go out tomorrow, right, absolutely dominate the first quarter against Collingwood, like absolutely rinse them, and we finish that quarter like 2 goals 5 to their 1 goals 3, that's a wasted quarter, like what was the point? Like we worked so hard to, just have what that like a 14 to uh 9 difference, like a margin of 5 points. It's not gonna be enough to probably put a team like Collingwood away. So if we're dominating at any point in the game, we need to be like kicking those goals. Like we need to make sure that we're clear with the pressure, that we're moving the ball well, and we're kind of getting the desired result and applying that scoreboard pressure. Because at the end of the day, when a team looks up, and I know like there's probably some of you guys that have competed in football or sports in general, um, when the game gets going tough, you look at the scoreboard and you see that you're like X amount of points behind with X amount of time, and the pressure's on you to do something. It feels absolutely terrible because it's like you have the whole weight of the world on you, and the game just becomes immensely harder. Like, if you're down by like 20 points with like 2-3 minutes to go, like you would need so much to go your way to potentially win that game. Or if you're like even in the first quarter and it's like 7 goals 1 to like 2 goals 2. Like obviously you still got 3 quarters to catch up, but at the same time that's still like 5 goals the other team would have to kick. um, like that's a lot of work they'd have to do. And then mentally and psychologically, it gets to the players. They start to become a bit more desperate to try and make something happen. And then that's how mistakes happen. So when we're having the chance to dominate the game, we really need to make sure we're on top of it and apply that scoreboard pressure. So that's about it. That wraps up my video. A quick little prediction. Obviously, being biased as a Geelong supporter, I do think we should be able to get the game done with a win. I'm tipping us to win. I'll say like it'll probably be a bit close because I feel like we're probably going to be the one that's going to be applied upon the pressure. We have to absorb it. I think Collingwood will probably get a bit tired in the fourth and we'll kind of skip away a little bit with it. And I'll say Geelong probably win this by I'll say 22 points. I think it'll be close for most of the game. We'll kick the last 2 or 3, hopefully. Like I'm, I'm being hopeful. Like a win in general would be nice, but I'll say 22 points. If we play as well as we have been throughout the year, we should be able to get the job done. So Geelong by 22. That's it for this video. Hopefully, I will be back with a wrap up of how the game went. I will be recording a little vlog, me going to the game, me setting up. I am part of the cheer squad as well. So you will get to see from the cheer squad's point of view how the game's unfolding. So I'll be back here. Well, not here, but at the MCG with a vlog of the game day, showing maybe some gameplay of the match itself. And hopefully, I'll be going home very happy. If not, I'll be going home upset, thinking about how we're going to tackle Fremantle or Bulldogs in the next week to come. But hopefully, we'll be able to skip that, go straight to the prelim. I'll see you guys later, and hopefully, we have a